Good.
Hope you had a good Christmas.
I did. Did you?
Yes. Very good.
Yeah. We had a great Christmas. First Louisiana Christmas, and it was not too hot. It was nice and cool. So I was warned that it could possibly be hot on Christmas, but it wasn't. So that was good. And my kids, just seeing their face light up, made my whole weekend. They were fired up.
Did you get snow in Vegas?
We have one time. We got snow one time, and the kids and I, we played outside football because it's stuck and everything. We played outside all day, so it was fun.
That's gone now.
That is gone now. Yes. Yeah.
Did the break do anything good for the psyche of the team, for a chance to study more? I mean, I feel like we've asked you this 3 or 4 different times this season where you got to get over something that's pretty disheartening.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole year's been tough, and but the one thing that our guys keep showing is that they just keep fighting, man. It hasn't been perfect or exactly what we wanted, but guys, they continually show up, smile on their face, and that's due to the leadership that's been here for a long time. Cam, T, DeMario, all those guys, man. They just keep coming. They just keep working. The coaches do a great job of that as well. But I think it allowed a lot of guys to get healed up as much as they could. That time helps. And then mentally, you get to, not put the tax on your body so much, but mentally you can study. You can get ahead on these, like we said, these 2 opponents that we know that we need wins against.
How important? Major decisions get made in the NFL at the end of seasons about the fate of coaches, players. How important is it for you guys to keep trying to show you're heading in the right direction, and that this whole thing wasn't?
Yeah, we always want to do that. That's one thing I was told. No matter what the situation that you're in the NFL, I was taught any chance you get to put a jersey on, any chance a coach gets to walk out here, you got to keep proving it every day. Charles Woodson used to tell me that you're 18. He's like, I'm trying to prove it every day because it don't matter who you are. This is Charles Woodson, best defensive player arguably ever. And he's like, dude, if I don't show that I can, tackle or cover or make a play, he's like, that's it, And so he's like, you always keep that mindset. Us as players, whether it's been a great season or a tough season, you're always trying to show that because there's always someone waiting to replace you. They got hundreds of college kids about to come up that all want to take our jobs. We all still want to feed our families, and same thing, coaches, all that kind of stuff. So that's something that we're taught. Like when you first get in the league, that's something talked about by the older guys all the time.
Derek, based on your experience, what's kind of the difference between a team that stacks up a bunch of wins and finishes like top of the division and a team that's kind of the position you're in now? Or just like how fine is that line? How fine can it be?
The line is super close. There's some teams that, I've played in my career where, you play against them and you're like, they'll be good in a couple of years, and then they end up with 9 or 10 wins, and you're like, how did that happen? And it's because these games are so close. You look at how many games that we've had that have been so close or whether we had leads or, whatever the case may be, that the NFL is designed for everyone to go 500, and the way they do salary caps and the way free agency and the draft and all this kind of stuff. And you see the details of every assignment. Like, you can't have one guy on one play that it may cost, and then you look back like, man, we needed that one win or we needed that one play. And so, especially when you're growing something, you have to keep pressing as hard as it is. We talk about as hard as it is after a tough loss or after, you got to keep pressing into that culture and keep pressing into doing things right, because eventually I've seen when you keep doing right, those things begin to go, all of a sudden, man, it went our way. Oh man, we finished that one better. Oh, we won that game. And it's frustrating to go through, but if you go the other way, you end up not having anywhere close to the season you want. You got to keep going after it though.
Derek, how do you feel the relationship or maybe the on-field chemistry has kind of built between you and Juwan Johnson?
Yeah, I would say my relationship with Juwan and really all the skill guys, chemistry-wise, I knew it would take games playing together, but I'm just really, that's one of the things I am proud of is that growth that we've all made, because at first there was some rocky times, there was times where I was expecting this or they thought that and I thought this and all this kind of stuff, and slowly it's, as we've talked about the last, again, I forget the number of weeks, but number of weeks where things are growing and getting better, especially with Juwan, like his work ethic, his hunger, his practice habits, and another thing, he got healthy. That it's hard when your job is to be explosive and run. It's hard for you to do, and he's been able to get healthy, and he looks great on the practice field. He's looked good in games and some moments for us. So I'm excited about him. I've always loved him, and I think the world of him going forward also.
I thought he was halfway through that question. I thought he was going to be asking about Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about the Rocky times getting on the same page with Chris. And then he has the flu, and then he has the ankle sprain, and it seems like he's almost had his 2 best games even fighting through that. What do you like about what's really clicking in for him?
I think the number one thing that I've always loved about Chris, I said to y'all from the beginning, was his mentality. And, you can see the work ethic, you can see other things, but then you see someone go through something. He's been through a lot this season. He's had a lot of stuff going on. And to see him continually come out here, work, communicate with me, get on the same page. We may screw something up in practice. That's what practice for. We screwed up our hair, but then we talk about it, and then we get in the game, and then, man, we hit it. And that's a cool feeling. That's awesome. That's hard work. And I've just continually seen that from Chris. And, to where now he's having, obviously he's only had 2 years, but he's having a better season. He's doing, more things. And the frustration came from, we expect so much more. I expect so much more for both of us. But the fact that it's getting better, the fact that, our communication is at an all-time high. That part of it, understanding each other, where we're coming from, how we see things, that it's getting better. You wish it didn't take, till mid-season, but it is what it is. But I've seen that growth as well in Juwan and me with Chris' relationship and on. It just keeps getting better, and hopefully we can continue that in these last 2 games to finish strong.
Derek, is that kind of consistent through that little rough patch you had in the middle of the season? Just kind of the same guy before and after, or was there something different that happened in that time that kind of kept propelled him?
He's always been the same guy.
Yeah.
He's always been the same guy. I think I just need to learn a better way to communicate, so that we could be on the same page. Because not everybody, responds the same way to certain things. And I think that we just got better at communicating together. I think that was the biggest growth for us, was the communication. Him, texting me. We jumped on FaceTime like I had told y'all back then, and all this kind of stuff. And just getting on the same page, because I really think he's so special. We can all see the talent. We all see the work ethic and all that. And I just want for him so bad for that arrow just to keep going up. And so he's been the same, but I think that him and I together, our communication got better, which allowed us to do things better on the field together.
Derek, with Alante, I know you were one of the guys who talked to him on the sideline after he got pulled from the game. What do you say to a guy in that situation who's a young player and is very frustrated? Oh man, yeah. I told him, man, we've all been there. I got benched in a 7th grade game because I changed the play. It's like, I was like, I didn't think the play was going to work, so I changed it. And I got benched, and I wanted to be mad and sit on the sideline and, do those things. Last season with, if I get hurt and they got to pay me, well, I don't get to play. Like that hurts. And so when you've been through something and you know how much somebody cares about something, you know what's going on in their heart. And so I just, man, hey, I love you. I told him, I was like, honestly, I got a lot going on. I'm trying to come back. I don't even know what happened, Tay, but whatever happened, just be there for your teammates just like they've been there for you. And he's like, I got you, bro. And he got up, man. He was super positive. He jumped up and was there for his teammates. And that said a lot about his character, because that's hard to do. We've all had moments that weren't our best, in life and in football. And I don't even know what his moment was. I really don't. But maybe it wasn't his best. And that it's good to have someone to put their arm around you and encourage you, but also push you in the right direction. And so there was a couple of guys doing that. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this team, is we're always just trying to help each other. We all know how hard it is to be successful and do things right in this league. So when it doesn't go your way, it's good to have brothers there for you. And have you seen him kind of respond to that this week?
He's been great. I heard D.A. yelling, just what an amazing play, Tay, like on one of the plays he made today. So, I haven't seen a change in him. He came in still smiling. He joked with me again, this morning, so I saw his personality. And so that was a good sign to see, especially bouncing back. And a weekend can do that for you. Sometimes we just need a little time. And he had a great day today from what it sounded like.
Derek, when you say you change your communication, do you kind of have to like tailor that to each guy? Is that something you learn and you got to figure out like kind of how to piece that puzzle together with each individual?
Yeah, that's a great question, because like I had to learn that. I just did things my way, and you watch those older guys in the '90s that I grew up watching in the early 2000s. You're like, okay, that's how it's that's how it's supposed to be. And then you learn like not everybody responds to that. And one thing, if I'm just being honest, that taught me that the most was being a dad. I was like, my 10-year-old does not respond the same way as my 7-year-old. My 10-year-old will outwork anybody. My 7-year-old got all the talent in the world, and he's like, I'll just throw it like this, And I got to go after him a little bit. Whereas my 10-year-old, I just have to be like, hey, it's okay to screw up. He's a perfectionist. So the tone is different. And once I learned that as a dad, that they're not all the same. You got to, you treat them all fair, but not equal, and I have done the same thing with, my growth as a leader with different positions, not just receivers, but, not everybody responds the same way. I've had guys tell me, like, if I screw something up, I want you to yell at me in the middle of practice. Okay. I've had other guys be like, hey man, just come talk to me. I don't like that. Okay, cool. No problem. And so you're making little logs in your mind. You try your best to react the right way. But yeah, being a dad has helped me the most. Learning that, just how to love each kid individually and how they respond best. Same thing with my team. How do I love them the best and get the best out of them individually, rather than just throwing a blanket over the whole thing.
So do you find out that information in the moment, or do you have to go behind and find it out? How do you sift all that through?
Man, it takes time. It takes time. Like, one, communicating together. You can absolutely see if I were to respond a certain way, some people in our circle would be like, whoa, and then some people be like, yeah, I like that, and then you kind of see the body language, you kind of feel that in the moment. And so, for me, I just have always just tried my best to learn as much about each individual as I can, whether that's watching, talking to them, getting to figure out what makes them tick, what motivates them, because what motivates them is a direct correlation on how I can talk to them too, how I can push them and try and get the best out of people. So, it really is not an easy, simple answer. It's really just a big picture of, being in relationship with my teammates.
Does that calibration kind of multiply when you're dealing with, injuries along the offense as well? I mean, think about a couple weeks ago where you had, AT and Lynn and Keith out there instead of the guys that you had been with throughout most of the season. Is that something you kind of have to recalibrate in those moments? Yep,
absolutely. It helps, that me and Lynn were together, before, and, it helps when you have pre-existing relationships. But when it's all new and new guys are playing that you're not used to talking to every rep at practice and about certain things and texting back and forth, absolutely. You got to figure out how to, get the best out of them, how to motivate them, how to get them excited. And honestly, that part to me is fun. Like, that part of the leadership is fun to me because, just being a teammate, being a brother, I've always been someone that wants to be super close to everybody. And so once I can figure out what makes your heart go, what gets you excited, all those things, I kind of want to figure that out for each guy.
What's the team mindset now you're in this must-win situation you guys got right now?
It's a playoff mindset. Like, one thing we've been talking about is, like, guys, this playoff mindset, like, you would hope, me and RC talk about this all the time as quarterbacks, and really it should everybody, but me and RC always talk about, like, that should be our mindset all the time. And we always talk about that from the beginning. Gruden, same thing. Ole, same thing. We always talked about that should be our mindset in OTAs. And when you carry that mindset, it's easy. My wife asked me this the other night, when just a general football question, she was like, how do you, handle, the pressure? I was like, well, when you're in it, like, you've worked so hard and you've put so much into it, you don't even really think about it in that moment. You're just out there and you're just playing. And so, for some guys, the younger guys, you teach them how to be in that mindset early, and now they're going to get a real taste of it, And so, for me individually, experience helps. I've been in this situation a couple of times, and you know what it takes. I'm going to go out there and give everything I have all week long, and then on Sunday give my best that I can give. And, I know if I gave everything that I had, you can live with that. It may hurt. It may be really exciting. I don't know, but you can't think about that. You just got to stay focused on that process, and that's kind of what keeps my mind focused when I just focus on that.
Derek, do you have a relationship with Russell Wilson, or would you reach out to him at all? I don't know if you saw the news that I don't know if they're moving on permanently from him, but for the rest of this season.
Been there, you know. I understand, you know, he's got a big number. If he gets hurt and they don't know if he's staying or leaving, it's frustrating. He knows, everyone knows he can play. Everyone knows he can complete passes. Everyone knows, when you surround any good quarterback, you're surrounded with, you know, a lot of talent, a lot of good guys. The results come, and you know, for us, you know, as quarterbacks, it's so hard to do. So anytime anyone reaches out, it means something, you know. And so I've known Russ, you know, for years. You know, we used to play in that same preseason game every year because Oakland, Seattle, the last game of the year, we'd always play. And so for years, we would see each other. For years, different events, you know, little NFL commercial, whatever. We've seen each other and had that. So my heart goes for him. You know, and then is Stiddy going to play? Stidham?
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, Stiddy, and I love Stiddy, you know. Like me and him, great relationship last year, and still do, you know. And I wish him the best. I know Russ wishes him the best. It's so hard to do that anytime this stuff happens, you always wish whoever's playing, man, you're rooting for them, you pull for them because they got families too. You know, this is tough to make a career out of, but you root for, you know, Russ and Stiddy at the same time, but you definitely, the messages are different, you know. But if I can, I'll reach out to him and, you know, make sure he's doing all right. But he's a competitor. He'll be fine.
You know, it feels like you've mentioned Ronald Curry like quite a few times over the course of the past few weeks. Can you just talk a little bit about or tell us a little bit about the impact that he's had for you?
Oh man, well, I don't even know where to begin, man. I'm glad you asked about him because he is an amazing football coach, and not only on this preparation, his work ethic, the communication he has with the quarterback. He understands. You know, he played. You know, he knows. He's been literally the best athlete ever, you know, to come out of high school, you know. So he understands being on a big stage and the pressures and all that. And so he's just so cool and calm all the time. And as a quarterback, that's what we need. While the chaos is going on, it's good to have someone that's just cool and honest. And hey, I've been watching the last 2 weeks. Your left foot on these throws, that's not good enough. You got to put it. Oh man, appreciate that. He's like, got you. Let's work on that today. And like he's always pushing me. Even today, hey, you know, if this happens on that throw, it's not on time. Don't throw that late. That's going to be a problem for you. Do this, that. Great reminder. You know, he doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. Like, doesn't let anything go by. He doesn't. And as a player, that's all you can ask for from a coach, is that they give you your best, give us their best, and he does that. But I think he'd be, you know, a heck of a coach, you know, head coach someday. You know, whatever aspirations he has, I think he'd be amazing, because I know just personally in our room how much we love him.
How much have you guys discussed the margin of the previous meeting with Tampa Bay? You know, I think it might have been the most lopsided game. I guess the extent to which you really feel that margin may be misleading relative to how the teams match up or wanting to prove that or anything like that. You know?
Well, you know, we are what we've earned. You know, and you know, we earned a loss that day, which it wasn't good. They got after us, and I'll never take that away, you know, from anybody. They did a great job, and we needed to do better that day. But you know, we're excited for another challenge. You know, they're leading our division. They're an amazing team with amazing coaches. They got talent everywhere. They got champions, you know, on that team all over the place. And it's another tough challenge for us, but it's one we're excited for. You know, you never back down from a challenge. You go out there, face it full, you know, head on and give it your best shot. And so we're excited to play against them. But the margin, all that, you don't really talk about that. You know, even when you win a game, when you lose a game, when you watch the film, you're just making corrections on how to get better. You know, and you're not necessarily saying, well, it was 11 points or it was 16 or it was 2. Or you don't really do that. It's just like, these are the 3 things. We got to do these better in practice this week so we do it better in the game. And that's just kind of been like my experience, like for the last 10 years, like football-wise.
Is that why divisional sweeps seem to be difficult, because of the ability to make those corrections and then do it over?
Yeah, just in my experience, you know, it's rare where a team, it's just so lopsided that they have no chance. You know, eventually it comes back. You know, and it's back and forth, and that's kind of what we talked about earlier about the NFL. It's made to be so even, and especially in the division, you're drafting against, oh, they have that, we need this. Free agent, we need this, they have that. And that's why it usually goes pretty much back and forth as, you know, the years go on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yep. Thank you.